Twin paradox. In a special theory of relativity, there is a very interesting problem based on time dilation. It is called twin paradox. Now this twin paradox is based on a thought experiment. Suppose there are twins. Let us name them Jack and Jill. Jack stays at rest in some inertial frame of reference. Many versions of the paradox assume that Jack stays at rest on Earth. However, they assume that any proper acceleration of Earth is negligible. So they use approximation that Earth is an inertial frame of reference. But if you do not want to use that approximation, then instead of Earth, just assume that Jack is at rest in some inertial frame of reference. Jill is moving at a very high speed relative to Jack, and she goes away from Jack in a spaceship. When Jill starts moving away from Jack, both Jack and Jill have set their clocks to 0. Jill keeps moving at a very high speed. After some years, she takes a sudden turn. Again, she is moving at a very high speed, but this time she is moving towards Jack. She comes near Jack, decelerates and then stops. The paradox makes certain assumptions. The assumptions are the time taken by Jill in making the turn and also in decelerating to a stop are negligible. It also assumes that neither Jack nor Jill are ever near any heavy mass. So you do not need to consider gravity because of any heavy mass. Now we will see what is the paradox. A special theory of relativity says that moving clocks run slower. This is called time dilation. And Jack argues that Jill was moving. So Jill's clock should show a smaller reading, that is, Jill will age slower. But in Jill's frame of reference, Jack was moving. So Jack's clock should show a smaller reading, that is, Jack will age slower. Now both cannot be correct because finally they are at rest relative to each other. They can look at each other. They can see each other's clock readings. Both cannot be correct. So who is correct? This diagram illustrates the paradox. The diagram on the left shows that Jill will be younger from Jack's perspective, and the diagram on the right shows that Jack will be younger from Jill's perspective. But as we know, both cannot be correct. Now, this is how we resolve the paradox. Jack's proper acceleration is 0. So he remains in the same inertial frame of reference throughout. Note that proper acceleration is acceleration related to an inertial frame of reference. It depends only on total real force, not on any pseudo force. There is no real force experienced by Jack. So Jack's proper acceleration is 0. But there is a real force experienced by Jill because she may need to fire some rockets or use some other means to make a turn and also to decelerate. So then she will experience some real force. So she has some proper acceleration. Because of proper acceleration, Jill does not stay in the same inertial frame of reference. She is in one inertial frame of reference when moving away from Jack, and she is in another inertial frame of reference when she is moving towards Jack. A special theory of relativity works in an inertial frame of reference. Time dilation should be used in a single inertial frame of reference, but Jill is using it in two different inertial frames of reference. She uses time dilation formula from two different inertial frames of reference and she combines the result. So Jill will get wrong result, but Jack gets correct result because he uses time dilation formula from a single inertial frame of reference. So this is what is the correct result. Correct result is Jack's argument. Jack's calculations are correct. Jill's clock will show a smaller reading than Jack's clock. In order to understand this in more detail, let us consider some sample data. Jack and Jill are initially at the origin. They set their clocks to 0. Then Jill goes to an object 8 light years away. This 8 light years has been measured in Jack's frame of reference. Jill takes a sudden turn. Then she is moving towards Jack again at the same speed. Both times she is moving at 0.8 times the speed of light, when moving away from Jack and also when moving towards Jack. Okay. Now in this problem, we have to consider 3 important events. Jack and Jill are initially at the origin. This is event 1. Jill is near an object 8 light years away as measured in Jack's frame of reference. This is event 2. And finally, Jack and Jill are again at the origin. This is event 3. This is how Jack calculates. We know that in Jack's frame of reference, Jill is moving at 0.8 times the speed of light. So Jack calculates the gamma factor, and as you can see the calculations made, the gamma factor is 1 divided by 0.6. For event 1, both clocks have been set to 0. In Jack's frame of reference, Jill moves at 0.8 c and goes to an object 8 light years away. So for event 2, that is when Jill reaches the object, Jack's clock will tick by 8 light years divided by 0.8 times the speed of light, which equals 10 years. Now Jack uses time dilation formula, and he calculates that Jill's clock will tick by 10 divided by gamma, and since gamma is 1 divided by 0.6, so Jill's clock will tick by 10 times 0.6, that is 6 years. From event 2 to event 3, that is when Jill moves away from that object back to the origin. By similar calculations, you can show that Jack's clock will tick by another 10 years and Jill's clock will tick by another 6 years. So when Jill is back at the origin, Jack's clock reads 20 years and Jill's clock reads 12 years. Jill's clock will show a smaller reading, that is Jill will age slower, and as we saw, this result is correct because Jack is making calculations from a single inertial frame of reference. Now we have to also see the situation from Jill's perspective. What is the situation from Jill's perspective? In her frame of reference, Jill is not moving. She is at rest. Rather, the space around her is moving at 0.8 times the speed of light. For her also, by same calculation, gamma factor will be 1 divided by 0.6. In her frame of reference, Jill does not go to the object. Rather, the object goes towards Jill at 0.8 c. After Jill has taken a turn, she is not moving towards Jack. Rather, Jack is moving towards Jill at 0.8 times the speed of light. This is how Jill calculates according to the paradox. In Jill's frame of reference, the space around her is moving at 0.8 c. So she will use a length contraction formula. According to length contraction, the distance between origin or the object is not 8 light years. Rather, it is contracted to 8 divided by gamma, that is 8 light years multiplied by 0.6 or 4.8 light years. At event 2, the object has reached near Jill. The object was moving at 0.8 c in this frame of reference, and the object covered a distance of 4.8 light years in her frame of reference. So at event 2, Jill's clock reads 4.8 light years divided by 0.8 c, which equals 6 years. Now Jill will use time dilation to calculate how much Jack's clock will tick. Due to time dilation, Jack's clock will tick by 6 years divided by gamma, that is 6 years multiplied by 0.6, which equals 3.6 years. By similar calculations, we find that from event 2 to event 3, that is when Jill and object are near each other, to when Jack and Jill are again at the origin, Jack's clock will tick by another 3.6 years and Jill's clock will tick by another 6 years. Therefore, at event 3, When Jack and Jill are again together at the origin, Jack's clock will read 3.6 years plus 3.6 years, that is 7.2 years. And Jill's clock will read 6 years plus 6 years, that is 12 years. So Jill argues that Jack will age slower. But as we saw, this argument is wrong because Jill has made calculations from two different inertial frames and added the results. This is where they disagree according to the paradox. Jack argues that he will age by 20 years and Jill will age by 12 years. And Jill says that Jack will age by 7.2 years and she herself will age by 12 years. Jack's calculations are correct because he remains in the same inertial frame of reference throughout. Jill's calculation that she will age by 12 years is also correct. Although she shifts from one inertial frame to another, she arrives at the value of 12 years for her own clock. However, Jill goes wrong in arguing that Jack will age by 7.2 years because she arrived at this result by adding results of time dilation from two different inertial frames of reference. This space-time diagram illustrates the cause of the paradox. The diagram is made from the traveling twin, that is Jill's perspective. You can see here two planes of simultaneity have been drawn in light blue and purple colors. A plane of simultaneity means that all points on this plane belong to the same time instant. From beginning till Jill is near the object, she has aged by 6 years and Jack has aged by 3.6 years as we calculated earlier. After she has taken a turn, it takes her another 6 years before Jack and Jill are again together at the origin, but it has taken Jack another 3.6 years. This diagram illustrates the mistake made by Jill in the paradox. It takes her negligible time in making a turn, but when Jill was making a turn, a significant amount of time passed for Jack. As you can see, this thick black line shows the part ignored in the paradox. We calculated that the correct answer is Jack will age by 20 years. So the part ignored corresponds to 20 years minus 3.6 years minus 3.6 years, that is 12.8 years. Jill takes the turn very fast, but while she was taking the turn, Jack aged by 12.8 years, and this part was ignored by Jill in the paradox. That's why she gets a wrong result. Some YouTube videos argue that Jill will age slower due to general theory of relativity because she accelerates. But when we say general theory of relativity, we have to use general theory of relativity in which frame of reference? There are two ways to interpret this argument. One argument is that Jill uses general theory of relativity in her frame of reference and argues that her clock will be affected by acceleration, so she will age slower. Another way to interpret the argument is that Jack uses general theory of relativity in his frame of reference and argues that Jill's clock will be affected by acceleration, so she will age slower. Both arguments are wrong. Let me talk about each of them one by one. This is the first argument, using general theory of relativity to read one's own clock. Some solutions argue, or at least they imply, that Jill experiences proper acceleration. Proper acceleration is equivalent to gravitational field. So Jill knows that her clock will be affected by this equivalent gravitational field, so her clock will become slower. So what Jill is doing is, she is using general theory of relativity to calculate her own clock reading. But this is wrong because you do not need theory of relativity to read your own clock, to find how your own clock will be affected. The other argument uses general theory of relativity in the stationary observer, that is Jack's frame of reference. This solution says, or at least it implies, that Jack knows that Jill was accelerating. Since proper acceleration is equivalent to gravitational field, So Jack argues that Jill will age slower. This solution uses general theory of relativity in Jack's frame of reference. But you do not gain anything by using general theory of relativity when proper acceleration of the frame is zero and any direct gravitational field because of any mass is also negligible. This is the mistake made in using general theory of relativity in Jack's frame of reference. Jack's proper acceleration is zero. So the equivalent gravitational field in Jack's frame of reference is zero. And we also assumed that there is no heavy mass nearby. So there is no significant gravitational field due to any mass. So the total gravitational field in Jack's frame is small, it is negligible. Here total gravitational field includes both gravitational field due to any mass and the gravitational field which is equivalent to proper acceleration of the frame of reference. When total gravity field is zero or very small, then general theory of relativity results will reduce to special theory of relativity results. So you do not gain anything extra by using general theory of relativity. Rather, you are making unnecessary complications. Then, what is the correct way to use general theory of relativity if you really want to use it? Note that Jill experiences proper acceleration. So there is equivalent gravitational field in Jill's frame of reference. So if you want to use general theory of relativity, then use it in Jill's frame of reference. But do not use it to calculate her own clock reading. Rather, use general theory of relativity to calculate how Jack's clock reading will be affected. The equivalent gravitational field in Jill's frame of reference covers whole of space. Jack's clock will run faster because he is at a higher gravitational potential. If you want, you can calculate like that, you can argue like that. But as we saw, we can resolve the twin paradox simply by using only special theory of relativity. This is how proper acceleration is equivalent to gravitational field. We consider two situations. In the first situation, there is no gravitational field because of any mass nearby. But the frame of reference itself has a proper acceleration of magnitude g. In the second situation, the proper acceleration of frame of reference is zero, but there is gravitational field of magnitude g. Frame's proper acceleration in first situation and gravitational field in second situation are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. These two situations are equivalent because any experiment conducted in them will give identical results according to principle of equivalence. Twin paradox can be resolved simply by using special theory of relativity. It is assumed the time taken by Jill during any acceleration or deceleration phase is negligible. Also, there is no heavy mass nearby. If the stationary twin uses special theory of relativity formulas, then the argument is the traveling twin will be younger. If the traveling twin uses special theory of relativity, to be precise, time dilation formula, then the argument is stationary twin will be younger. The paradox is based on special theory of relativity. So you should be able to resolve the paradox by using special theory of relativity itself. You need to show how special theory of relativity has been used wrongly in the paradox. This is the conclusion. The correct explanation is one observer uses time dilation in a single inertial frame of reference. This gives correct result. The other observer uses time dilation from two different inertial frames of reference and adds the result to calculate the clock reading for the stationary observer, and this gives wrong result.